Secure the bag. Don't even blink, make them walk the plank. Walk it, light them up, let's make them sing. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. On Bucs, yeah, we on. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. The whole field's our red zone. Let me give you 55 reasons why this is our season. Palm trees breezing, opposing teams bleeding.
All right, welcome back to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I will follow you back. And we are chugging along into the NFL season, so to speak. And I'm joined tonight by my co-host, my man, KB, Ken Barrett, not to be mistaken for Shaq Barrett. How you doing, my friend?
Well, I ain't going to talk all that stuff this week. Cousin Shaq ruined that for me, so there's no trash talking tonight, boys.
You know what, man? Honestly, I'm just like, I don't know. I know that there were some things, and you had some choice words for Lord Byron and the offense. And,
but Gene, it's not the first time. Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah, we're gonna get into that, of course. So, it looks like KB may have froze on me for a minute. Mr. Everything's Bucks, what's going on? Will the Brewer, and of course, Shooter in the Stash. Thank you for letting us have a spot here on the We the Thunder Facebook channel. I appreciate that. Shout out to all of your followers with We the Thunder, as we do have the Tampa Bay Lightning getting ready to drop the puck. And you know what I say, puck what you heard. Not to be mistaken for Buck what you heard, but I'm trying to get the name changed over there, but we'll see how that all works out. But anyway, just kind of getting back to the NFL. Tampa Bay Buccaneers face the Kansas City Chiefs, and what can only be I'm gonna say it was ass whooping. It was just.
I mean, the Bucs weren't in. I know the scoreboard says 10 points, but the Bucs weren't in this game at any point after the first. Pretty much ever since that opening kickoff fumble, it was just downhill.
Yeah, and I do want to ask you, what is the logic having the second string running back doing kickoff duties? Just curious, your thoughts.
I mean, I don't think it's natural for White, but he's done okay. I mean, the fumble, he was in a pile. His progress, you could argue, was stopped, or like guy punched it out. Like, it's the peanut punch. We love it when Levante does it. It's not great when people do it to us. Like, it happens. I'm not saying White shouldn't return a kick ever again. He's just not the most natural guy, but he's doing an okay job. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and there's just not an answer for it right now. All right, shout out to Will the Brewer at the Great American Beer Fest in Denver, man. Hey, Will, I'm still waiting for that Buck What You Heard IPA. I know if anybody can make this happen, you can make this happen. But it's kind of getting back to it, man. I'm going to say this, and well, let me get your analysis of the game, and then I'm going to share my take on it.
I mean, I think there's bright spots, but most of it's negative. I mean, there just wasn't a consistency until the Bucs really had to, just throw the ball. I mean, we only ran the ball 6 times for that entire game, and I know that's deviating from what we've pretty much done the first 3 weeks. I'm not saying running the ball is the answer, but when your entire, run game is 3 yards on those 6 carries, tells you something's been going on. We've been averaging, less than 3 yards per carry our other 3 games pretty much anyway. So it's, solving what's kind of going on offensively, which to me, it comes down to a term that we talked about a couple years ago when I first joined with Eugene. It's flow.
Yeah.
Byron Leftwich, like, there's some good stuff in there. There really is. There's some great concepts. But like against the Packers, I mean, we were running sail we ran it like 3-4 times in the game. We're getting yards like that. Then all of a sudden it stops.
Right.
Chiefs, there's some stuff that's going well. Then all of a sudden you go, the Bucs get a stop, 4th down stop. That could have been a huge momentum changer. We go empty. Brady gets hit on the blind side. Fumble, Chiefs already in the end zone. So it's like offensively, nothing could go wrong. And then I think the defense, I'm going to give him a pass. Patrick Mahomes, is an elite.
Not natural.
Well, he's an elite quarterback who does things no one can do. When the Bucs did apply pressure, Mahomes got out of it. Everyone was talking about the underhand flip to Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the back right of the end zone. Like, don't get me wrong, like Lamar and Allen are probably the only other two quarterbacks who can pull off a play like that. Like,
Mhm.
that's what happens when you play
I wouldn't
against
even
good
put them.
teams.
I'm not even going to put them in the same league with what this guy did. And I
You
honestly
know he
believe that
circled that game too. He hasn't
you
seen the
know he
Bucs
did.
since the Super Bowl. And you know what?
Yes,
Mahomes was the only one who showed up for that game. Kelsey decided to join the game, and the Bucs had zero answers. Levante, not his greatest game.
right.
It is what it is. But again, Andy Reid is creative. He does
Mhm.
things teams don't typically do. And the Bucs made adjustments. The adjustments didn't work. And it,
Mm.
it happens. This defense is still a top 5 defense in the league. They just might not be number 1. And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think people just need to relax. I think the defense is gonna be okay long term. I want to see how they look like against the Ravens and the Rams on those back-to-back weeks. I am not holding this one against him. They're the reason why we lost. Let's just, it is what it is, but it's
Mhm.
also a blip on the radar. Bulls has shown consistency, and it's the NFL, man. It's an offensive driven league.
Yeah.
The Chiefs literally could do nothing wrong. I'm not worried about the run defense, but that to me is the only thing I'm concerned about
Yeah.
was how effective they were in the run game.
Yeah. And we're coming up on the Bucks are coming up on some teams that do run the ball. And I'm going to be very, if I can say this, Kansas City was Andy Reid was embarrassed in that Super Bowl game. Patrick Mahomes was embarrassed in that Super Bowl game. And I promise you, this was their Super Bowl right here against Tampa in Tampa to try to exercise that demon, which they did. And there is no doubt in my mind that I have a hard time believing that we're going to see Kansas City playing at that high level. I mean, consistently throughout the season because they wanted to win this game at any cost and every cost. That's just what this game really meant to them. And so, to me, watching them, I mean, Patrick Mahomes was driven. He was not going to be denied. When there was that underhand flip, that should have been a sack. Should have been a sack. Any other quarterback would have went down. This guy was like, "No, you guys, we're not going through that. That's just what they did." And I want to put this in context for you. Bears, Saints, 2 times, Rams, Chiefs, Bucks go to the Super Bowl, that's the 5 losses they had were to the Bears. People were losing their freaking minds because the Bucks lost to the Bears. The Bucks lost to the Saints the first game of the season. The next game they got waxed, and it was just people were jumping out the window. Oh, this team is trash. This team is not going to do anything. There's going to be ebbs and flows. I mean, what I'm trying to do is paint a picture of this team over the period of time that Tom Brady has been here. There have been games that the Bucks just looked horrible, but the
Well,
Bucks,
let's do an exercise right here, though. I mean, let's take out the 2020 postseason.
okay,
My issue with Lord Byron, as you like to call him, let's look at the teams that the Bucks, those top echelon teams during the regular season
mm,
and how Byron and the offense has performed. Generally, it's not good.
right,
But Bowles has come to play multiple games.
mhm,
So I think the biggest concern for me, Vita Vea, the
yeah,
run defense. Fix
mhm,
that, it'll be okay.
yeah.
This isn't
I
pound
do
the
you do
Bucks.
you
Oops, sorry.
is Ndamukong Suh an option?
No. See, I think what the Bucks are missing in terms of is his leadership. If you look at Sue, I mean, he held up okay, but he's not a sideline to sideline guy.
Mhm,
He's holding up the point of attack. That's what Sue is at this point in his career. And if he came here for, a $3 million deal, that's different. Sue wants 8.
yeah,
Sue doesn't want to play for anyone unless it's 8.
yeah,
So I would just cross
understood.
Sue off. I think an offensive weapon. Everyone's talking about Odell. I think that would be a better solution for the team right now than
Mhm,
throw more resources at D tackle. I mean, we got Raheem Nunez Roaches. Logan Hall has flashed some really good
yeah,
stuff.
yes,
I don't want to say 2020. After the bye, we're going to go on this run and win the Super Bowl.
mhm,
I'm more concerned about what the Bucks will look like after that bye because that's already kind of in their MO is to
Mm,
struggle against these teams in the regular season.
mhm.
Bye happens, it's a different team.
Right. And the one thing, and what we're looking at a week 12, you're looking at a week 12 bye this year. I think it's week 12, week 11, something like
It's
that.
11. It's 11.
Week
Yeah.
11. Yeah, I know it was one of those two. That bodes well for Tampa. That's great to have it that late in the season. And the one thing that concerns me is injuries.
Get
And
to the playoffs healthy.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
all I'm worried about.
yeah. Because what I saw what I saw in the Green Bay game was what I saw against the Rams in the playoffs. And that's what I saw. And I know that in during the offseason and during preseason and camp and all this stuff, we heard about Julio, you heard about Mike Evans, you heard about Chris Godwin, you heard about Russell Gage and what they could potentially do. But the best ability is availability. And when you don't have them, you got to work with what you do have.
Speaking of which,
Now,
sit Julio. I'm sick and tired of him, not practicing at all, and then all of a
mm,
sudden he's got this torn or damaged PCL.
mm,
Like, get the guy healthy. We don't need him right now. The
yeah,
Bucks, Gene, the worst the Bucks are going to do this game, unless Tom Brady's out for the season, is going to win 10 games.
yeah,
They're going to make the playoffs.
right.
Get Julio there healthy. If you want to play with Odell
That's
and
that
go in,
that was my whole perspective here is that I'm not so much worried about Julio now. It's in early in the season. Get him some meaningful reps, put him on a pitch count, get him out. And you want to get some of your other receivers in there, get them some playing time, get them comfortable, because there may be a time where they're getting called upon to really do something. You're looking at, with Cole Beasley gone, you're looking at Scotty Miller again. Uh, does this did him being made inactive, did that help him? Did that do anything for him? I mean, does he come back with a little bit more energy? Does he come back wanting to secure that position? I can tell you somebody that I'm really happy with their progression with the Bucs is Russell Gage. And I'm so happy to see him in a Bucs uniform. And he's quietly, slowly but surely doing his thing here. And I think as he builds that chemistry with Brady, and then you bring in a Chris Godwin, I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, Chris Godwin played the fourth most snaps out of any receiver last week, and everyone was concerned about pitch counting him. Chris Godwin's by all means healthy. He
Mhm.
probably just needs to get his sea legs under him and, get his coordination, get all that kind of stuff back. But he seems to be good to go. Russell Gage isn't a number one. He did pretty good in the number one role for the Falcons last year, but
Now
I
he
mean,
doesn't
just
have to be though.
he doesn't have, but the thing is, it's like the Scotty Miller syndrome. Scotty Miller is a useful asset, but not when he's a 1, 2, or 3 receiver. Gage can be a 3 receiver.
Right.
Scotty isn't that. So if Gage is the number 3 option, I'm a little bit more trusting in Byron. Mike Evans. Normally, I say Chris Godwin's the straw that stirs the drink, but this season right now, it's Mike Evans. This offense looks like a completely different animal when Mike's healthy or
Yep.
playing.
And he's 765, baby. That's all he needs. 765. That's the magic number right now to 1,000. But getting back to kind of getting back to this now. I'm not. Yeah, I read. I love social media. Social media is a microcosm of the world sometimes, but then you got a bunch of psychopaths on there and crybabies, and I mean, and this is my perspective on this Chiefs versus Bucks game, because I do want to talk a little bit more about the Atlanta Falcons. You got a lot more trash talkers now that the Bucks have been consistently winning. Bucks going into the playoffs. Tom Brady's here, and I think those folks were the ones that were talking the most trash about the Bucks not winning. They had their feelings hurt the most behind all this, because all it is bragging rights to them. Oh, we won, our team won, we were out there doing this. No, the Bucks played a team that wanted it more than they did. And please, we're in week 4. And again, this is that overreaction zone that I was talking about. Week 1 through 6, you get overreactions one way or the other. And until we can get a full glimpse of what the Bucks can do, just sit back and enjoy the ride, because the Bucks still have Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, and you commented on my post on Twitter this past week where, they're people can label certain people as, negative Nancy's, not team
You
players.
didn't lie about
No,
anything you
no, but
said.
what I'm saying is what you came in and basically said was, or what I said in that post essentially was, you want me to take the positive route? Well, I'd rather lose this game than have lost the Super Bowl. Have that mindset. The Chiefs are a good team. You're not
Yeah,
going to beat the Chiefs 9 out of 10 times you play them. They're
yeah,
about a 50-50 team. You win one, you lose one.
yep.
They beat the Chiefs, beat us, we beat the Chiefs, Chiefs beat us. What does that mean probably for the next one? That's the rhythm right now. It's
Yeah.
not the Saints. It's not like they own us. We're winning every game the past 3 years we played. No, it
And
is what it is.
if you look at big picture, I'd go back to '93. The
Oh
Chiefs have only
gosh,
beaten the Bucks twice.
which is which is nuts.
Yeah, serious, true story. You go look it up if you don't believe me. But
Well,
the Chiefs.
the last one I remembered that we won was I think someone picked off Alex Smith in the end zone in like under 2
Oh, that
minutes.
was a Jameis Winston. That was Jameis Winston hearing the tomahawk chop, thinking he's at Florida State, and he went nuts. The guy went nuts. I
Well,
mean,
I just remember that game, and I just remember
yeah,
that interception. But like, again, this is what it is. There's some good stuff. There's some bad stuff. Luka Decky probably wishes he could be doing better. We're definitely
it's
missing
gonna come,
Akeem
man. I think
Hicks.
it's gonna come. Some people progress at different levels. This is one of those times that you really miss a Ryan Jensen. I think you miss that nastiness on the line, and I think that uh, you know it makes you appreciate him more. I like that the younger guys are getting snaps and getting reps. I think that Donovan Smith during doing run blocking, I love what he can do. Again, I just think this team is going to be fine. They're gelling. I think if you health wise, if you can keep your core together for a period of time, you can win a bunch of games in a row.
That's all it is, man. What did the Bucks do? They strung what 9 or 10 together in 2020. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
they can
again,
do it. I mean, they've got the talent on the team. And I love Todd Bowles as a coach so far. I think he's taken a lot of what he learned with the Jets and implemented it here in a positive way. And he's got the squad that he can use his defensive play calling, and with all the teachers they have on the coaching staff. I mean, I love what they're doing.
yeah, I mean, and again, Bowles has the record. I mean, we're talking about all the injuries on offense. I mean, the Bucks were still 13-4 last year with literally no secondary. Levante was hurt at the end of the year.
Yep.
Like, I mean, Todd's done enough for me to, give him a pass. Let's give
Mm.
the Chiefs some credit here. I mean, this is the NFL. Andy Reid's one of the best coaches in NFL history. Mahomes, I'm not going to say baby goat, but he's going to be a damn good player for a long, long time.
Right.
So you got to tip your hat off. If the only way the Bucks are going to win this game is if they put everything together and they didn't have any turnovers, because they lost
Yeah.
by 10. There was 2 turnovers that led to 14 points.
And then the NFL is just so weird. I mean, it's very competitive because last week the Colts beat the hell out of the Chiefs.
And
Who
and it's
knew?
not because Jonathan Taylor chewed up the clock either. Jonathan Taylor's had a terrible. I mean, it's not his fault necessarily, but the Colts offense and defense, well, the whole Colts team has had a really bad start to this year that they
Yeah,
figured out versus the Colt or against the Chiefs. So I mean, like
yeah,
this is the NFL, man. And if you told Bucks fans you're 2-2 in the first 4 weeks, everyone would have been okay. But the only thing I'm gonna say, and it pretty much started after the Packers loss, just be this Bucks team isn't the number one seed, and that's okay.
yeah.
Be 2 or 3. Just don't be 4. That's all I ask. Don't be 4. Don't play against the NFC West. Don't get a hot 49ers team round one. Like, play, the Cowboys or whoever wants to be that 6, 7 seed. Don't play
Yeah.
the 5 seed. That's all I ask.
Again, man, I think that this gets turned around. I think they fix a lot of stuff, and this is just my observation over the past couple of seasons. There's going to be a couple more games that the Bucks should win that they don't win. So buckle up for it. It's going to happen. That's just how this team is gone.
Well, and
And
vice versa, they're going to lose to a team you don't expect either. Like that's the NFL. They're going to
yeah,
drop one. Who knows if it's the I don't think they're going to lose to the Panthers or Falcons, but they might drop one. I
yeah,
mean, it,
and it could happen. That's what I'm saying. The end of the world is not here. I know people. Oh my God, man! People were just like, they're garbage. We did this. We should have did this. And Why didn't we? It's always we. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I'm just enjoying this. I'm enjoying Tom Brady. I enjoyed Tom Brady, 2-minute drill. Tom Brady coming back. The one thing that kind of frustrated me in the first half, if I can say that something frustrated me, was their sense of urgency. And you've got all these weapons. Act like you have a bunch of weapons on your team.
They went,
You know what
what,
I'm
80
saying?
yards in 5 plays, TD,
Yeah.
all passes. It was
Yeah.
like, where's that been?
Yeah. I mean, you can sprinkle in some run and some play action or whatever, but don't be predictable. I'm watching the game, and this woman who's like only been following the NFL for like a year knew that the Bucs were going to run, and she called it, and they ran. And
For me,
that
it's year 4, Byron.
yeah.
That's just my
And
perspective
and
on this.
these are
It's year
things where
4,
you progress and you evolve and you get better. You get
which is
better.
what he did in 2020, and I think
Yeah.
he did it in 2019 too when Godwin and Evans were out. There
Mhm.
was and obviously Perriman became the
Yeah, you
star
had
for a couple.
Perriman and
He
Scotty
figured
Miller
it out.
yeah. And again, these are things that you're supposed to not regress. You're supposed to become even better. And I look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid's a great example. Sean McVay, another example. Guys that just like
Kyle Shanahan, what
Kyle
I mean,
Shannon.
just
Shanny
throw
is
Jimmy Garoppolo, who's honestly a clear step down from Jimmy or from Trey Lance, even as
right.
well. And my biggest problem with Byron is he doesn't make it easy. Again, if
Yeah.
you're
I think he froze up on me. Well,
my
we'll
back,
get him. Go ahead.
my back.
Yeah, you're back.
So what makes Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, I know they run the Kyle Shanahan or the Mike Shanahan system. However, what they typically do is let's say it's sales or mesh or whatever
Mhm.
it is, they figured out what's going to work on you. They're going to repackage it in 5 different formations and run the same exact.
Yep, they're going to do the same thing until you figure it out. There's always a different wrinkle, and that's what I've noticed with Shanny is there's always a different wrinkle with his offensive play calling, and you got to appreciate that. That's what I get kind of jealous about. That's what I'd love to see is that you're able to make these offensive play calls, then you add a little wrinkle here and there that kind of throws your defense off, and you can keep the defense on their heels. That's kind of what you want to do. No, but go ahead with what you were saying.
I was just saying they just repackage the same shit that works in 5 different ways,
Mhm.
whereas we just run it once, it works, and then it just disappears from the
Right.
playbook. That
Yeah.
that make things easy for you. And that's the thing is the Bucks have a good system. BA has shown that it works.
Mhm.
Brady's little wrinkles, it has already shown that it works.
Right.
But Tom's making high pressure, high throws on 2nd and 8.
Right.
Like, why? Why? What's so wrong with getting a pass or a creative run and getting 5 yards on first down? Because
Yep.
Byron's saying we're losing on first and second down, but he's the one who's shooting himself in the foot and making 3rd and 10 ridiculous.
So let me ask you this, and I know we've had our talk. We've kind of talked about a sense of urgency and play calling consistency or what have you. Is it possible that execution should be factored in here as well with
Oh,
the
absolutely, especially on defense in the Chiefs game. But
Yeah, no, I'm
offensively,
I'm
I
just
mean,
talking about like when you're talking about Byron and his play calling, can execution by these players be factored into what he's doing?
shit. Exhibit number one is Scotty Miller. He's gotten open, but he dives for balls he doesn't need to dive for and drops it. Perriman is getting like thrown 50-50 balls when if you know anything about breaking off routes,
Yeah.
he could have made things a little bit easier in
Mm.
zone. Like the Bucks are just making things difficult both on the field and in their heads. Like that's all it
And
is.
what's
Luke Hideki, when he's had good reps, Tom Brady has a little bit of not fear, but that quick trigger. Like
yeah.
balls out maybe a little bit earlier and didn't get to that extra read where I think it was Russell Gage against the Packers um, is running an out route about 10 yards down the field, and Scotty took the corner and the safety, and Perriman's just and Gage is just standing there like this. But that's probably because Brady didn't want to wait that extra half a second.
Right.
So again, it goes down to the protections. It's like for defense, you can't say it's the D line's fault. For the
Mhm.
Chiefs,
Right.
I, you
You
can't.
know,
The
and
corners
again,
didn't do their jobs either.
yeah.
They're playing off.
And one thing that I want to mention as well, the front four are not, they're not consistently getting pressure. They're doing better. It's progressively getting better. It's something to keep an eye on as well. I know that people were like trashing JTS and he's not it. He's not the answer. But this is, we're in week 4. We're in week 4. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I got one suggestion, Todd, if you're out there. I wouldn't mind GTS only playing first and second down and having Anthony Nelson out there. He's
Yeah.
looking pretty effective.
Yeah. I love Anthony Nelson. I love his motor and he doesn't quit.
I think he's about to
And
be a free
he's
agent too, which makes me sad because we didn't really get to use him.
yeah. And it's a shame. I think there needs to
I think he's
be,
got one more year.
yeah. So hopefully they can get him involved a little bit more. And they say tape don't lie, man. I'm not sure why they're not saying, okay, you're really making the most of your opportunities. Let's give you a little bit more time to do whatever. We're really not seeing that.
Can I say something that's going to make you
Yeah.
happy, Gene?
What's that?
If the Bucs don't let Mariota beat them with his legs, they're going to run away with this game next week. So
Yeah.
the
And
Falcons the Falcons have been a fun team to watch. Maybe not as fun as like the Seahawks, but like every game that the Falcons have played, it's been entertaining. But Cordell Patterson out on IR. Their defense isn't good.
what Camaro? When did Camaro get hurt? Did we?
Cordell Patterson
Yeah.
last week
Oh, okay.
or Sunday, yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, he's on
I
IR
love
too, so he's out the
Camaro,
next
man.
4 weeks.
Yeah. Because I got car named for these people like Pontiac Williams and Camaro Patterson. I can go on and on. But we don't have time for that. Um, I don't know. I'm not 100%. I'm seeing like David was saying that JTS is average at best. Do you remember he's a defensive player for the Colts, DeForest Buckner. DeForest Buckner took him a little while to get going before he could really, come into his own. And JTS, this is his first full season, you know, in this system. I mean, where he's actually getting significant playing time. I think he's going to get better. I really do. I see flashes. I think he's playing better than he did last year. And I don't know. That's pretty much where I'm at right now. It's too early in the season to write him off. So kind of have to let him see
People
what he can do.
forget this is basically midway through his rookie year. He didn't play much last year. They preferred to have JPP, play 90% of the snaps for whatever reason. JTS didn't
Mm,
get to play that much last year.
yeah.
What he has done is what Logan Hall has done. Flashed. They haven't been consistent, but
Mm-mm.
they've made some TFLs. They blow like JTS. Forgot if it was the Cowboys or I think it was the Cowboys game. He
Yeah, it was
blew
a
up
Cowboys game.
3 of their trick plays by
Yeah.
himself. Like it just is what it is. It's
Yeah.
it's young guys. This is why the Bucks have, in the Brady era, just bringing in more veterans, just because, hey, like you can't count on people to progress that fast with Brady. I mean, we got lucky in 2020 where you
Yep.
had Scotty, Tristan, and Antoine. Like that's great,
Yeah.
but that's it. Like Scotty didn't play much his first year either.
No,
Like
he
came out
didn't.
in
No, he didn't.
2020.
So
JTS has all the tools. He'll be okay. I mean, just don't count on him being Jason Pierre-Paul, in his
yeah,
young years. Like that's not
yeah.
he was
But
a
I
32nd overall
honestly,
pick for a reason.
yeah, and I believe that he'll eventually get to where he needs to. I see flashes. I see enough out of him to where I'm not like writing him off. If let's put it that way.
Again, they're coming up on some confidence building games. I mean, we see it when Alabama plays, Georgia, let's say week 1. Like, those teams are a lot different than if they had 3 cupcake games coming into those games. I mean, the
Right.
Cowboys proved that they're not frauds, and I still think they're a better team with Dak than they are. I'm going to call them the Red Rifle because Andy Dalton's not really a rifle anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a BB gun. But
Well,
yeah,
Cooper Rush is a great little story, but Cooper Rush is not going to be the next Tony Romo. Like that's what I think people just got to realize. And he's a fun little watch.
who was the guy from Washington that was
Taylor Heineke.
Gardner Minshew?
Oh,
Remember Gardner Minshew had
Gardner
these
from
games.
Jacksonville.
Okay, who was
Are you talking about the quarterback that we played in the playoffs?
yes.
That's Taylor Heineke.
Taylor Heineke. Sorry, I'm getting Minshew
No
and
worries.
Heineke. But when you watched him, you're like, oh man, he's good, man. He's entertaining. That's kind of where that's kind of my comparison right there.
Again, it was week 1 for Dak too. I think Dak would have looked like a different quarterback had he not, played the Bucs defense at an unbelievable level week 1. And I
Yeah.
think that's what people are forgetting. The Bengals defense isn't that good. I forgot who they played also recently, but or Washington Commanders,
Yeah.
they're not shit. Let's see when they play someone. It's the same thing with the Eagles. Let's see what happens when the Eagles play someone.
And
I
that's
mean,
what
the
I'm saying
Jaguars
about
have given them the best test since the Bucs in the playoffs last year.
and that's what I'm saying about the first 5, 6 games of the season, man. I mean, you may get a bunch of games and catch people when they're off and people haven't come into their own, or maybe somebody gets hot right out of the gates and then they start to cool off. There's a lot of different things that can be happening within that first, 5, 6 games. So let's again, take a step back. Tom Brady's the QB. Um, Next year is unknown, so let's enjoy this year. You know what I'm saying? My man, Shooty Shoots from Shooter in the Stash, We the Thunder. Again, sir, thank you so much for allowing us to be on your platform, and shout out to all your people out there that are, cool enough to check us out. Greatly appreciate that.
I got
But
a
anyway,
cool stat for you, Gene, before we move on.
all right.
In the Bucs 4 weeks, they've played 3 teams that have winning records, the only one not being the Saints. Guess how many the Bucs in terms of the first 4 games have a winning record for the rest of their schedule?
How many? Jesus.
Even the the Ravens, the Rams, no, none of them are 3-1. Obviously, the Eagles are the only
Did you watch
4-0
that
team.
Rams game?
Oh yeah, I mean Kyle's got his number. Kyle is basically, or I mean, the Rams and the Bucs really have the same two tails. The Saints kick our ass. We win the one that counts. Kyle has beaten McVay the past 7 out of 8 matchups. The only one being the NFC Championship. like,
Actually,
so
that's
I mean,
crazy.
he just got the number. I mean,
Yeah.
Cooper Cup was even held in check. So, I
But
mean,
again, man, NFL is about matchups, man. It's like if you match up good against a team like the Colts matched up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Nobody would believe me if I were actually saying this prior to the game, but at that game last week, they matched up and it worked for them.
and that was even without Darius Leonard or whatever he goes
Yes.
by now. I mean, they have a good front four. They got to him pretty well. Their coverage is matched up pretty well. We just know the Bucs scouts struggle with one main type of system. Only 2 people have run it a little bit different. He struggles against we struggle against the Shanahan McVay, East West,
Yep.
creative run zone schemes
Yeah.
with creative ways to get Debo and you know Cup open, for instance.
Right.
The only other quarterback or system that's really given us struggle was Peyton and Breeze.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
if that's the Bucks' only MO of losing, we just got to beat whoever that is in the playoffs, and I'll be okay. Which is
That's
why I think the Ravens matchup is interesting to me because I just want to see how we play Lamar because you don't play a player like Lamar. We played Josh Allen pretty well, but
it's
Lamar
not
isn't
this.
Josh
Yeah,
Allen.
he is not. Yeah. And again, it's gonna be a different that's gonna be a different matchup. I guess the one game that really concerns me, if I can, just kind of keeping an eye on everything, is the Seattle Seahawks. It's a team that
Gene, we're gonna blow them out in Germany.
you think
They're
so?
going to be a different team. What are they the first 4 weeks? Gino's going to be this high percentage passer, but look who he's done it against. The Falcons, the Lions.
Yeah.
He did okay against the Broncos week 1. Geno's a fun story, but we've seen enough of. I mean, everyone wanted to talk about this offseason. What Jameis Winston's going to take that step, right? Jameis Winston's going to do this, right?
But he's
Geno's been
been,
in the NFL longer than Jameis. The
yeah, this is true.
story's written, guys.
Yeah. And honestly, he's a quarterback that's always stuck in my mind. And we're want to get to something else here in a minute with the as T Smitty calls it, the hot take media. But Geno, do you remember when Geno was drafted? I don't know if you do or not. Geno was drafted, and he was drafted on day 2.
Early
And
second
he was
round.
crying. He was not going to come back to the draft because he was not drafted in the first round. That's his character. And people can change, yeah, but more times than not, that's his character.
They
That's
can
just who
change
he is.
for 1 week. They can't change for their career. Like again, Jameis showed he could be tied down Jameis. But you know
Yeah.
what? Once they let the leash off, which is what Saints wanted, they don't want anything to do with him anymore.
No.
Like it's going to be the same way for Geno. It's a great story. I am rooting for him. It is so great that he's had this stage. He hasn't faced a team like the Bucs defense. What Geno's going to do against the Bucs, he's going to throw for an 80% completion rate. He's going to do
Mhm.
some shit like that because we already saw Aaron did it. Our defense will give you the short, easy throws.
Right.
But when he gets into the red zone, will he convert into touchdowns? Which the Bucs take the Chiefs game out of the equation.
Yeah.
Is really damn good at keeping you from scoring sevens. And the Seattle defense is not going to stop Brady. I mean, Brady already beat them when they were the Legion of Boom.
Yeah. It's true.
They're not the Legion of Boom anymore. So I mean, it'll be a fun game in Germany.
Yeah.
Again, you're playing in Germany, anything can happen as long as we're healthy going into the game.
Oh man, he froze up on us. Pless, what's going on? Michael Pless from Real Bucks Talk. Glad to have you on. KB froze.
I don't know what's going on tonight.
Yeah, it's Ghosts in the Machine, bro. It's what it is. It's got to be. So what's new, man?
What's new with you guys? What's
Hey,
happening?
we're just kind of all over the place. We were talking about the Chiefs game a little bit, and just kind of going back.
Game to not remember. Let's just throw it out the window.
Exactly. But just like KB just went away. I just kind of get your perspective on this. I mentioned that the Bears, the Saints, the Rams, and the Chiefs were the losses that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers suffered in 2020. Then they lost to the Rams, the Saints twice, and the Washington Generals last year. And these are, people were losing their minds because they lost to Washington, but the Bucs still turned around and went to the playoffs. So again, people are worried about the wrong thing at the wrong time. We're just in week 4 of the season. There's still a lot of football to be played, and I believe that this team will come around, and the players that are getting the meaningful reps will get better. I mean, look at O'Keefe, and it's
O'Keefe or Spider-Man meme to Mike Evans. How about that back shoulder fade with a little push off extend by O'Keefe? That wasn't in your scouting report.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
It wasn't. It definitely was not in the scouting report, but they need to do more plays like that. I mean, that's plays that will get defenses off balance and not expect it. So you have a 13 personnel, you do a nice little play action fake, and you get a 1-on-1 matchup, you take advantage of it. So back to your point about it's early in the season. It's week 4. We're 2-2. You're in first place in the division. There's a lot of things on this team that has happened so far, and they just need to sort things out. It's a lot of little things that they're just missing on both offensively and defensively. Now we could get into philosophy and as far as their approach and how they attack teams. That's a different story. That is something that needs to improve for sure, because you have a talented team. And I talked about this with Ken and our group chats. I'm like, talent's not an issue. And I know people are like, oh, well, let's go get OBJ. Let's go do this. And no, you didn't even need a Cole Beasley. That was just insurance. And, Brady likes the guy, but Duke can't play. He's too slow. Couldn't get open. Cost Brady a shoulder injury because of it. So it's not a talent issue. The offensive line is good enough. Pass protection. I just went through the whole tape on the offensive line. They're fine.
Well,
Luke,
their
That's what I'm
issue
saying.
their issue is when we go empty. If Lenny or someone's in, or even White are in that backfield,
mhm.
Brady's shoulder isn't an issue. Yeah, that to me is where I'm going to throw that shade at Byron, is just because we've
No, I
already
agree.
seen in this offense you don't need to go empty. You have playmakers. Throw a 50-50 ball up to Mike. You have a better chance of getting a play with that than going 5 wide in this offense.
Yeah, I mean, and to my point, the biggest thing I see is a lack of aggression on both sides of the ball. I think that's where they have to get back to. You have to be a pass first team. I talked about it in a video this week. Like, you need to throw the football, throwing the football early and often. It sets up your run game. It sets up everything else. You get the lead. Your defense plays better. All those sorts of things, and they've done that in the past. So I don't understand the change, or what
It's it's
Or
is.
make an
it's
easy
been
pass.
it's been every year.
Yeah,
2020, we were looking at the same thing where they were trying to get their legs under them with the offense, and there were bumps in the
Yeah.
road.
But
You know,
2020 was a little bit more in sync than what we're seeing now. That
well,
to me is the
2021,
concern.
but what my
Or
thing
2020
is,
is what I'm saying. Sorry.
yeah, my point is at the beginning of every year we've run into this. The
Mhm.
offense isn't in sync. The offense and the secondary are interchangeable, but they're not in sync. They're not playing where they need to be playing. And then they have this really rotten game and they turn it all around. It's just been what they've done,
It's not the first Sunday night game we've been. This game wasn't necessarily a blowout, but
Right.
I'll consider it a blowout just because
Yeah.
we didn't. There wasn't 1 second I felt like we were in the game.
Exactly.
No, couldn't stop Patrick Mahomes.
And that's fine. The
Yeah.
Bucs, in order to win this game, both sides of the ball would probably had to play their best game. The Chiefs played probably their best football they're going to play this entire
This
season.
is their Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, they were executing nonstop. I mean, couldn't stop them on third down. I think they were 13 of 15 on third down, something like that. Crazy. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is spinning, throwing the ball at last second, getting touchdowns that way. Like, it's pretty much game over. He was using his legs. He was doing everything right, and making plays. Like, we had sacks that we couldn't convert, and he's still making completions.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of that. And then obviously when you start the game with a fumble, you're down 7-0 already. That doesn't help you. And then, you finally stop them, and then you fumble on the next play because you decide to, go empty, like Ken said, and you're not protected. Tom doesn't see it.
And it was a great blitz by the Chiefs again, too.
It was.
Like,
Gotta give him credit.
you have to tip your cap to other teams for playing like a route. Like the Chiefs' game plan, both sides of the ball, was elite. I think we exposed their defense and their game plan, with Mike, and that's great. But
how many teams have a Mike
no
Evans?
one. I don't think there's an NFL defense that could have stopped them last night or on Sunday night.
I don't either.
On fire. But just to sum it all up, like, the approach for this team just needs to adapt a little bit and understand, hey, you have enough there to win with. That's not a problem. It's just got to be more successful on first down, and that's their biggest issue. Utilize the play action game. You don't need the running game to set up play action.
Which disappeared. We had the big plays going. We could have mixed in some even play action then. The only team in the Tom Brady era that I've seen not respect play action against the Bucs is the Rams. They're the only team I've seen that just bailed. Everyone else at least respects it. So play into it. You don't have to run 5 times to set up play action. You can run once, you can pass 3 times and still run play action after that. Like, I think there was a great thing by Dan Orlovsky and Marcus Spears this morning about pretty much what it's like for a defense when they see a quarterback under center versus in shotgun. I mean, when you're under center, everything's available. But when we come out first down and in shotgun, I mean, the quarterback's the only run play you can really have is where the quarterback holds the ball out in front of him for the running back. He's not hiding it, around the side when he's faking. Like, there's so much you can do. And I mean, the Bucs, we haven't seen want to let their tight end take a snap at the 1-yard line. I mean, like, there's so many ways you can do this. Like, but Byron and Todd aren't going to be Andy Reid. And I think that's where I think the disconnect happens, is because I think people want Sean McVay to be your offensive coordinator. Sean McVay's great. Kyle Shanahan is great. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the only way to do it. And I think that's what gets lost in the shuffle.
And what is it? What is the term? Is it game flow? Is that the term? Because I still see Byron as not quite grasping the flow of the game, and
It's
at times.
sequencing, like
It's
understanding.
sequencing, and there's two
Yeah.
main aspects of the game. There's the script aspect,
Right?
and then there's the in-game play calling aspect. I think where the Bucs have really struggled is coming into a game with a solid 15 to 20 plays to start the game. I think what plus I'll pass it off to him in a second where he was going to get into is that sequencing when you're calling the plays maybe 2 or 3 at a time during the game.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's what I was going to talk about. It's like you understand certain plays work, continue to utilize them. Like there's no reason to change things up. Like on the first drive of the series against the Chiefs, you get a 10-yard pass to break. Great, because it was well set up. You had plenty of time off of play action. Great. And then the next play, you follow that up with a screen pass to Leonard Fournette for 25 yards. Like that's 35 yards right there.
Yeah.
Continue to throw the football. What do? They run it. They lose 5 yards, and you set yourself up for,
And some momentum.
not a good situation. Like continue to use what's working. Like you have playmakers, and you don't have to run the football to get minimum yards. You can throw a short pass, like Ken was talking about earlier. Use your passing game as your running game. There's different things to incorporate.
Because I remember
you just have
that
to be better at that.
I remember that was the philosophy. You use the run to set up the pass, but we're in a league right now where the rules have changed and wide receivers have a little bit more leeway and defensive backs don't. You using the pass to set up your run, and that's what I think, that's what fans want to see. And, there's got to be some semblance of balance. The fact that they totally just like threw the run out the window, I was thinking Lenny was hurt because of the way that they did that. I wasn't.
Honestly, I think he was, but I digress.
He very well could be. He's not running very well. There's opportunities for him to get a lot more yards than he's showing. There's opportunities to the outside. There's opportunities inside, and he's just not. Doesn't seem like he's running with full commitment like he has shown in the past. There's opportunities where he can just go attack a lane, and even if the guy's coming downhill, like he needs to hit that and just either run the guy over or try to make a miss. But
a hammy will do that to you, which is what he has. And then just to go off your point a minute ago, plus like before you hopped on, we were talking about what makes Kyle Shanahan and McVay so good is because like you mentioned after the Packers game, for instance, or the Saints game, I forgot which, Sale was working. Like, why don't you run Sale more? And that's what Shanahan and McVay do is they go, shit, Sale's working, mesh is working. I'm going to run this in 5 different formations and just gut you to death with it versus Byron and BA has come out and said this, I think it was last year, was we don't run the same pass play twice, which to me is ridiculous because they have no issue doing it in the run game. How many times do you have to see Godwin motion behind a tight end and realize that duo's coming right up the middle? Yeah. Like if duo is what you think is godsend, why not mesh and Sale? Because that's how you overload a defense and make them get miss assignments. Because that's what gets Devin White in trouble. They cross 2 people, one in front, one in behind of Devin White, and it's basically, hey, I'm going to pick on you, White. Which one are you going to go to? I'm going to throw the other one.
Yeah, I mean,
why don't we do that to other people?
I don't understand it because Sale has worked every single time this year, and it's a basic concept where, if it's Sale or even if they're just running a clear out, like when you have Scotty running his fly route and someone come underneath to take that space, it's open every single time. They could run it over.
Gage have made their living that when they have caught passes this season, both of them exclusively have benefited from that scheme that Plus is laying out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a simple fly route, and you have an out route combination with it. Or if you're running Sale, it's kind of a, I guess you call it like a flag route to the sideline with a inside route to take away coverage, and it's open every single time. Like they haven't been able to stop it. And I would like to see Jalen Darden be utilized more in the offense as a receiver. I'm glad Cole Beasley retired because your receivers now. Obviously it'll be the top 4 and then Darden and a combination of Perriman possibly. Or if they want to use Scotty as just, like I said, decoy, let him run down the field every single time. It's open. It's open.
Yeah, Mark Ramirez special.
Yeah. yeah. He's done with Scotty. He doesn't want him on the team. So
yeah, but when you guys have done your film breakdowns, it's Scotty's doing great when he just runs straight up the field. And that doesn't necessarily mean when he's getting the ball.
Yeah.
Right.
But because you have to respect that from him. I mean, there's enough film on him to know you better keep an eye on this guy.
It's funny because I mean he takes 2 guys with him every single time. Like he did in the Rams playoff game last year. Like that's all they were doing. They were just running him deep. And even on the touchdown to Mike, like Mike got single coverage because Scotty had 2 guys on him because they were afraid of him going down the field. So yeah.
And I think Darden has that kind of speed, but I think Darden has better hands.
Well, I mean, they both have issues where they kind of fall when they're running. But I would like to see Darden get a better opportunity because I think his shiftiness and route running is a little bit.
Well,
crisper.
he's already on the 45 anyway, so might as well let him do something other than just return a punt because, again, I don't think White's doing bad returning kickoffs. It's fine.
I think he's fine.
He got a peanut punch. Like, I'm not going to hold that against White. Like, it happens. He was in a pile, too, where someone just came in and knocked it out. Like, it happens. Yeah. But Darden's literally doing nothing else.
Yeah.
It's like he's got to do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got to utilize him. And I want to see Rachaad White more in the backfield. I think
it's going to happen too.
Yeah, his opportunity is coming. And I like to see what he could do running and catching the football. Because again,
too. I want to see how he handles that.
I thought there were a couple of.
I just went through it. I thought he did well. Like he was on it. So
yeah, I saw a couple of plays where he picked up a defender, on his way out, or just even somebody coming in. He's done a good job, I thought. I guess we really haven't really talked about Atlanta, which I really don't really want to, but yeah, Atlanta's improving. They actually are.
They're just finding ways to win games. Yeah. They did it the last 2 weeks against Seattle and Cleveland. But when you look at the stats again, it's nothing special. They don't have a passing game. They run the football very well.
And I will say they're best player too.
Yeah, they just lost Cordell Patterson, who was having a great year, averaging over 5 yards a carry. So that's a big loss. Defensively, they give up a lot of yards. They'll let you go up and down the field. The key is, can you score inside the red zone? The red zone defense has been better the last 2 weeks.
Look who they've been playing though. Yeah. Look at those quarterbacks. That's the thing that's
they're not good.
Gene about earlier. Yeah. Mariota just what he gave the Saints trouble with was his scrambling ability.
Yeah.
Just contain him. Don't let him, get outside the pocket, pick up first downs. Just contain him and you'll be okay.
And I guess Jameis Mariota was like a placeholder for whoever they're getting next year. I'm guessing because he just.
Yeah, they're probably going to play Desmond Ridder at some point. Yeah. So, but Kyle Pitts might be out this week. So again,
wait, is he after not even being used? I didn't know he was injured.
He has a hamstring injury. Didn't practice today. So if he's out again, that's a big loss for them. They still have Drake London, who has been playing well.
Yeah, he has. Surprising.
But I like Carlton Davis and a bounce back on that one. That's the type of profile receiver CD3 does pretty well against.
Oh, for sure. And like you guys are saying, you're on it with just containing Mariota, make sure he stays in the pocket, make him play quarterback. That's going to be your biggest thing. And don't go for the eye candy. And hopefully they can find ways to get pressure up front. That's something that has really been frustrating so far, is the front four pressure. I know at times it's been there, but
that hasn't been consistent.
That's something that has to get better for sure. And I would like to see them just rush up the field. They've been trying to do a lot of stunts and stuff. I know they're trying to get some free rushers, but when they rush straight up the field, they'd had their best rushes. They got their 2 sacks off of it with Nelson and Nassib. So got to be better up front there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are the keys to victory? I mean, for on Tampa's side of the ball, what do they have to do to be effective against this team?
Don't beat yourself.
Mariota, hold up Grady Jarrett. Those are the only 2 people I'm worried about.
Yeah, and I agree with Ken. Just don't be yourself. Don't do stupid stuff. That's really what it comes down to for this team.
We lost by 10 points. What and how many points did the Chiefs get off turnovers?
14. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying the Bucs would have or could have or should have even won that game, but it's a lot closer. Maybe it's like how it was, week 8 or 9, whatever it was in 2020. Where the Bucs are, down big early, but next thing you know, it's a 1-score game at the end. Like, That's what the Packers have been doing.
Yeah.
They're not winning
Yeah.
games. They're letting teams beat themselves.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers calling plays when they're getting people off the field, man. That's freaking genius.
Which Brady used to do that stuff too. So
Yeah.
I mean,
You
there's
kinda went
again.
away
I
from
think the no huddle. I'm not saying the Bucs should be exclusively no huddle, but mix that shit in.
Yeah.
Like, why not the third drive of the second quarter? You know, the first quarter. Why not go no huddle for?
I
6
think that's
plays?
I
kind of
think-
where you need to start the game out with or something.
I agree, Gene. I think when they start the game, they got to come out and no huddle, like pick up the tempo. And like I've been saying, this team has to get back to passing first, and you pass to win in this league. Like, gotta utilize the pass, and you got to put up points early and often. Like, our first quarter hasn't been good, and that's something that has to change. Like, you have to win the first quarter.
Well, both sides too. That's where the only defense has been struggling taking out the Chiefs
Agreed.
game is first quarter.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
you
They
know,
gotta be
so
better.
again, these are things that I feel like they're going to improve on. Like you know, Tom Brady is a consummate professional. I think that there's enough talent on the defensive side of the ball where they can clean some things up. I think this team will be fine. We're just in week 4. I can't stress that enough, and we've seen this movie before. Losing to the Bears.
There's teams
I mean,
that are doing
people-
better than us.
People were,
teams doing
you know,
worse.
I had to start a suicide hotline for people that were freaking crying about losing to the Bears. I mean, and then the Washington Generals, I mean, people were out of their minds because we lost to them or the Bucs lost to them. And it's just like, you know, it's just part of this. It's part of this team. You know, that's who this team is. I mean, they're not going to go out and go undefeated. You know, this isn't Madden. You know, there are games they're going to lose that they should win, and you know, vice versa. So, one thing to keep in mind, and I will tell you this: the Bucs are in every single game throughout the season, health wise. As long as they're good health wise, the Bucs can, you know, every game that from throughout the season is winnable. So keep that in mind. There isn't one team out there that I've seen that's on the Bucs schedule that, you know, they can't go out and win if they're executing like they should be.
Right. No, I agree. It's and you just face, you know, 4 really good teams or solid teams, you know, and Cowboys, Saints, Packers, and you know, Chiefs. Chiefs probably be the best one out of the group. And you won, you know, you're 2-2. And a lot of us would say after 4 games we would be
Remember
2-2.
the media said we're going to be 0-4, maybe 3-1. Like that was only what 6 weeks ago. So I mean, like 2-2, I think is what everyone like. That was my lowest expectation is what the team was going to be. You're playing the Falcons. You get a TJ Watt, maybe Minka Fitzpatrick less Steelers team, and you got the Panthers. Let's see what this team looks like come week 8. You know, just win the next.
Again, that's where you want to revisit. You know where this team is. I think week 6 gives you some idea. As I always, that's my number. But yeah, when you're halfway through the season, just kind of look back on where this team is. Have they progressed? Have they gotten better? Markedly improved, or you know where are they? So I don't know. To me, I'm not stressing about it. It was a good game. Kansas City wanted it more than Tampa did. They came out. I'm sure they had it circled for years that this was a game they wanted to see. This was their Super Bowl and they won it. And
well, this is what happens when you win your division. You get some pretty tough games in there. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and like Kid said, you got 3 very winnable games coming up. Got to take advantage of them. Hopefully, you can get to 5-2, and then you have 2, you know, good tests against Baltimore and Los Angeles.
If the Bucs lose to the Falcons or the Panthers, then you can hit your panic button. Like, I mean, like for me, like I was very upset at the Chiefs game, which is because I mean, there was no excuses. All I heard for the 3 weeks was injuries, suspension. Like that's all I heard. And it was like, okay, you have everyone. Like, what are your excuses now? That's just where I was at. But for me, again, you take care of the next 3 weeks. Even if you drop to the Steelers, it's not the end of the world. I mean, that's a tough road game anyway. But to me, if you lose to the Falcons or Panthers, then you can worry.
Yeah. Matt Rule has just gotten worse.
He might not be the coach by the time week 7 rolls around.
You think? And let me ask you this: I mean, do you guys believe that they could relieve him duties? I mean, mid season.
I think they'll wait it out through the end of the season with him just because Tepper has showed a lot of leeway for him and they're paying him a lot of money. So I think they might just let him do it. Maybe, we play them week 17. I think he's gone by week 17, but I think week 7 just might be a little bit too early for that. But give me probably week 12, week 13. I think he might be gone.
Yeah. All right. Plus, your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think either way, he's probably fired at the end of the year. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
not,
I think Sam
not going
Darnold
well.
was the beginning of the end for him, to be honest.
Yeah,
And they
doing
got a
that.
good little team though too. Like they weren't using DJ Moore. They're still not using CMC. They have a pretty good defense.
Is
Good
he
young
healthy?
defense too. He's healthy-ish. He's never healthy. He's healthy-ish. He's
Okay.
healthy enough. He's
Yeah,
probably healthier than Lenny is. I mean, Lenny's been beat up and he's got the hammy. Like
right.
we rode Lenny to death for
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Yeah,
He hasn't probably gotten that much work since LSU.
first 2 weeks were, yeah.
Yeah. It was heavy. So you got to spread the wealth around. I mean, you've got all these weapons. Act like you got weapons on your team, you know?
Yeah, comes back to coaching. And again, I talk about it. It's approach, it's how you use your personnel, and how do you adjust to what the other team is doing. And that's the biggest things that this team has to be better at. Now, defensively, they've shown in the past where they can make adjustments, and I think they've done that. And I'm not worried on that side of the ball as much as I am on offense, where it comes to.
It's funny when you
Yeah.
came 30 minutes late, you're basically saying everything I did, and I love it.
Yeah, there you go.
Bowles
Yeah.
has a resume, right? Bowles has shown he can win with injuries. He's shown he can bounce back after getting blown out. Like,
Yeah.
I trust him. It's
Yeah.
Byron who I think still has to earn my trust. Take 2020 playoffs away from Byron.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of issues in there.
Yeah.
G Vegas is telling me that I didn't realize Chin was on IR.
Yeah.
Chin got hurt.
Yeah.
I remember seeing
I know he got hurt. I didn't think it was like
that bad.
that bad.
Well, then
Yeah.
that means he's not playing versus us, so that's a big loss for them.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they have some inconsistencies on both sides of the ball, and obviously,
Well, Baker's playing. I'm a big Baker hater. Everyone knows that.
yeah,
This is his worst football he's ever played, man.
Yeah.
He's bad.
Yeah.
I did not think he was going to play this bad.
yeah.
is
I
like-
mean, they have a love affair for that. What draft was that? 2018 was the Darnold and Baker draft.
yeah.
So,
And Josh Rosen.
and Josh Rosen. So
So
yeah,
can
that
we
will be-
expect to see Josh Rosen rolling through Carolina at some point?
that'll be their next pickup. But yeah, I mean, Baker or Darnold hasn't worked out, and to give up assets for them, yeah, it's
the
not
way
not,
they did.
not a good
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah, that I think the GM needs when you throw the baby out with the bathwater, they need to just clean the whole tub, man. Because
Yeah.
my goodness, that
Look.
I did not. I don't know what people see in Sam Darnold or what they saw in Sam Darnold. And I know they say, oh, he was with the Jets, and the Jets are just not a good team and they're not well coached or whatever. But I just didn't think he was not a good decision maker. I think having Jameis Winston on this team for as many years as we had him, as fans, we had Jameis Winston here. You can tell, over a period of time, you want him to do better. And so you root for him. But at the end of the day, you realize, man, this guy is just not making the right calls. He can't read a defense. And so when you're looking around the league and you're looking at some of these other quarterbacks, like a Blake Bortles, who retired, by the way, and I can't even believe that was news.
Almost $60 million in his bank.
Yeah.
How is that newsworthy that this guy, who ended up being a career second stringer,
Because he's also a barstool guy, too. He's got a personality to him, so people gravitated. He's like if Minshew was good.
there you go. So I see what you mean.
Hey, smart man. He got his money and pulled off the heist. It's awesome.
Yep, there you go. So
he didn't have to last as long as who was the Chiefs backup for a while that's in Los Angeles?
Chad Henne or
Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel's been playing the long game.
yeah.
Bortles just played the short game.
I mean, hey,
He
we
played
got
a little roulette, got lucky on red, and he's good to go.
There
Hey,
you
we
go.
got one of them in Ryan Griffin. I mean,
Hey,
Yeah.
that man,
he's just
Did
making
he
money.
ever? Has he?
man.
Did he ever play a regular season game?
He
No.
played like 2 snaps last year.
So he
In a
never
game.
started. He's never been a. So they know. But, oh, I want to figure out how to legally hustle people like that. That's what I need to like get on YouTube and try to
That
figure
was
out.
that was my dream for a very long time. I was gonna, if I was able to grow to like 6 or even like Ken's height, I was gonna try to make the NBA and just be a 12th man and make that money. Like
Well, the NBA is where it's at. I mean,
Yeah.
MLB's great, but you have to be Mike Trout to make money. Like, or
Yeah.
you have to be a pretty good player to make money in the MLB.
Mhm.
But man, in the NBA, I mean, when you're not Zaza Pachulia, who's that guy for the Lakers? That like Russian player who signed for like $80 million and then was like cut by the Lakers the next year. Like,
Can't think of his name, but yeah, I mean, I would love to be a guy like that. Like I would just,
Yeah.
that was my biggest dream. Like I wanted to be in the NBA for the longest time, but I was like, I'm not tall enough. I can't jump. I could only shoot, and yeah, I just had bad knees already at a young age, so wasn't going to work out.
Well, that's those things happen, man. Well, guys, I'm glad you guys are well. Hurricane Ian is no more, and how's everything? How's everything in your neck of the woods? Everybody has power.
Yeah, everything's good here. Yeah, that was it was a rough week last week. Just for everyone in the state, mainly Fort Myers is that's tough.
Yeah.
They got hit very hard. So, but yeah, there was a lot of impact around the state. And for me, it was just a lot of long hours because I work for a power company. So, yeah, it was tough. But I'm just happy that people are starting to get back to normal.
Yeah.
And they got power, and just thoughts go out to that area down south. We're actually sending some people down there to help out. So
Yeah, I work for GPS company, and I know that they've got people down there working on trees and cutting back trees and stuff like that, and they got a whole fleet down there. So
yeah,
it's good to see when people are giving and trying to help, man. Donate where you can, and hope for the best.
yeah.
I know we're like in the middle of hurricane season still, so. Everybody stay safe and, keep your eye on the news, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I want to say shout out to the guy on Twitter. I think it was Buccaneer Mick, I want to say. I mean, that was awesome. Donating $50 for every time the Buccaneers threw on first down. I love it.
and he picked the right week to do it if we want to help some people. Because
Right.
what was it? It was like 20 something that Byron did. Granted, because we
I think it was like
obviously had
27 passes, and he ended up it was like over $1,000 he donated, which was great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I thought the NFL was going to milk the help and support during the game a little more. That's one thing I was a little bit disappointed because I thought that was the one benefit of keeping the game Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, they had it on the stadium jumbotron, so they were showing
good.
that a lot throughout the game.
Yeah.
They had a lot of personal messages, so that was cool.
Oh, that's nice tribute.
Yeah.
And what was really cool is every time they showed Todd Bowles, you could see the Florida Strong
T-shirt
that he was wearing.
Yeah.
And I think everybody should
that shirt. Yeah, I
Huh?
want that shirt.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth. I'm going to go to Europe soon, so I'm trying to count my pennies and nickels. And
what are we gonna do about the show when you're in Europe, Gene?
hey, I get you guys the logins and passwords, and you guys can do the show.
Yeah,
make it happen.
I don't know if you want that, Gene.
I do want that, man.
I'll take over.
Exactly.
Love it.
Drink beer and insult people, whatever. I'm
it'll be what 3 a.m. your time when we go live.
Yeah, make it happen. And just FYI, we will be doing a Buck What You Heard show with UK Bucs, who I will be hanging out with on November 7th.
Nice.
So we will be doing
away.
thing. Yep. So it's going to happen. Well, anyway, guys, plus let me get your final thoughts again. Thanks for jumping on with us.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I was just deep diving into the game film. Got a Luke Gedeke film study coming out soon. Hopefully, I know a lot of people have talked about him.
Don't look
And
at the PFF grade, people. It's not that
yeah,
bad.
It's a piece.
PFF is
Well,
wrong.
no, PFF does a lot of really good things well. To
PFF
me,
is
I
a
think the
piece.
O-line grades just literally throw them in the trash, man.
Yeah, PFF is a piece to a bigger puzzle.
Mm.
And yeah, you can use it to back up what you're showing on film, maybe, but I don't think it doesn't give the whole picture. I see people rattling off PFF grades, but then you don't talk about the intangibles. There may be a play away from the ball that somebody does, or something may happen. It's not all. It was the best way to say it. I wouldn't put all your stock in PFF. I love them.
Speaking of stock,
Shout out to Trevor Sikkema too, by the way.
well, speaking of stock, I mean, PFF is like Tesla. They're a data company. They're not a car company. They're not a grading company. They're a data company. So
Mhm.
respect the data. You interpret the data however you want. Plus, continue.
Yeah.
Right. No, you guys are on it. And yeah, it's not as bad. Like he had maybe 3 pass reps that he got beat by a very good player. And Chris Jones was like,
Chris Jones been
Who
watching.
people forget, didn't he have a sack in the Super Bowl against a certain guard that's on IR right now?
right.
I
Aaron
mean,
Stenny, so
come on.
yeah. But yeah, final thoughts. I mean, just throw last week out the window, focus on this week. Again, it's a week to week league. The team is going to continue to get better. They're going to continue progress, hopefully stay healthy on offense. That's the biggest thing. And I think they'll figure some things out. They understand what they have. Now it's just about, solidifying that process and that approach and making sure it's a little bit more efficient and a little bit more aggressive. And hopefully we see that against Atlanta in a first place battle game. And it's a 1 o'clock,
Who would have thunk?
right? 1 o'clock start. So it's gonna
Which
be
I'm blessed for because the Panthers are on the West Coast playing the Cardinals at 4. So I don't have to stream it on some illegal site. I'll actually be able to watch it. It's beautiful.
Couldn't you use NFL Plus to watch it or no? And when it come up?
No, I mean, like I've tried some stuff on my Apple TV, and some
Okay.
things work, some don't. But I got
Yeah.
YouTube TV and Red Zone now, so I basically roll with that unless
Okay. Well,
I can hook
hopefully,
up like my laptop to like the Apple TV thing, and it can project whatever they stream online. So
hopefully they show it for you. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much my final thoughts. Just enjoy this week, and it's a big game. And Buccaneers win, you're 2-0 in the division. You're in first place, and you go from there. Just take 1 week at a time. Don't get too highs with the wins. Don't get too low with the losses. Let's see how this team, see where they are, once we get into December, and I'm sure we'll be happy with the result.
Yeah, absolutely. KB, your final thoughts, my friend.
don't mix up criticism with hatred of your team.
Yes.
Okay, first off. Second off, I mean, let's just see what this team looks like, coming out of the bye. The bye is a beautiful thing for this team for better. So just in like Plus is saying, enjoy these weeks. Play against at I don't know, it's not called Heinz Field anymore, but whatever they want to call the Steelers Stadium. Like that's a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time we had a big game against the Steelers was the Fitzmagic Game 3 in Monday Night Football at home. Enjoy that game. Enjoy beating the shit out of the Panthers. Take the Falcons seriously, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, we'll talk in a couple weeks about when we get into the Ravens and Rams. But these 3 teams, don't overlook them, but enjoy them because we need to see these teams take those steps, and that's usually when you take steps is when you get to face lower competition and be able to really get that confidence back. Which I think the Bucs as a team just got their confidence shook in week 4.
Mm-hmm.
Short season. I'd rather be where the Bucs are than where the Eagles are or the Rams.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay.
Yep. There you go. I'm totally with you. For me, my final thoughts are, they're playing my arch nemesis, the Atlanta Falcons. Everybody talks about the Saints. I hate Atlanta. Like hate
So
Atlanta.
does that make you a Saints fan if you hate Falcons fans as much as Saints fans?
No, Saints fans are really quickly catching up really quick. But to that point, Jameis Mariota, they've got to shut him down, and that's the straw that stirs the coffee right there. if they can get him on his heels and where he's scrambling. We've seen that he has issues holding onto the ball as well. So yeah, again, anything can happen, but this is a game that the Bucs really need. It's a division game, and it puts them that much closer to the division, winning the division, and it's going to put them in a good spot. So definitely looking forward to that game. And folks, it's a long season. This is just one game. It's early in the season still. Things can change. This team can get hot real quick. They have the weapons, and I don't know. Lastly, Byron, you've got a lot of weapons on your team. Act like it. Let's make it happen. But anyway, that's pretty much it for me.
Oh, and get Mike 1K, please. Just get Mike 1K so we can keep that going. I don't want to hear any more that Mike Thomas is a better receiver than Mike Evans. I want all that kind of talk. Terry McLaurin, all of those receivers that people want to throw in that echelon. Mike, you can throw Cup and Adams and Chase and Jefferson. Great, you can do whatever you want there. Mike's a top 5 receiver.
Yeah, or Keenan Ivory Wayans or whatever his name is. The guy that's always hurt, but that guy,
man, he creates more narratives than Michael Jordan about surrounding him.
Yeah. So again, one thing we can hope and pray for in this game outcome: no injuries, or if there are no serious injuries.
I'm tired of looking at injury report, Gene.
Yeah,
that thing's a Harry Potter novel.
It sure is. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, do me a favor, just subscribe, please. Thank you. And like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out. And again, Michael Pless, be sure to follow him. If you're not following him on Twitter, make sure you're following him at Real Bucs Talk, and on YouTube at Real Bucs Talk. Look for him. Great content. You watch his show and then you can repeat everything he says and sound like an expert. Do that.
It's like the scene from Good Will Hunting. You could have gone to a library and read all those books. You could have just gone to YouTube, spend 5 minutes with Pless, and
there you go.
Everything you need to know.
Exactly.
How about them apples?
There you go. All right, guys, we are out of here. We will be back here again Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern on Buck What You Heard to do this again. Everybody.
Hopefully after a Victory Wednesday.
Yep, Victory Wednesday. I got to bust my shirt out. That Victory Monday shirt is collecting dust. Got to fix that. But anyway, we out.